All right, so buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving deep, deep into crypto land.
Ooh, sounds exciting. Where are we headed?
We're going to be dissecting an episode of Crypto and Coffee, the one with Josh from Blockchain DXP.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's from December 23rd, 2024. And let me tell you, Josh, he's got some strong opinions. We're here to kind of sift through it all, help you figure out what's real and what's, well...
What's hype?
Exactly. What's hype? Separate the signal from the noise, all that.
He does have a reputation for not holding back, does he? Especially about the recent Bitcoin drop.
Oh, yeah, he's got a whole theory about it.
The theory, huh?
Yeah, he's convinced the mainstream media is purposely painting a negative picture.
Negative how?
Of the whole economy, to, undermine Bitcoin, even the incoming Trump administration.
Whoa, hold on. That's a pretty serious accusation. I mean, is there any basis for that?
Well, that's what we're going to look at.
Yeah.
He keeps pointing to this Federal Open Market Committee meeting, says the media twisted everything the Fed did.
Okay, so what exactly is he claiming they did?
He's hung up on this idea that the Fed actually lowered interest rates. He thinks that should be good for Bitcoin, but the headlines are all doom and gloom, according to him.
Yeah, I see where he's coming from. Lower rates usually mean cheaper borrowing, could lead to more investment in, well, riskier things, like crypto.
Exactly. Classic search for yield, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Josh has a point there.
Right.
But is the media really twisting things that much?
Well, let's see what the Fed chair actually said. We can pull up the transcript.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Okay, here we go. Jerome Powell says, the committee judges that some further gradual increases in the target range for the federal funds rate will be consistent with sustained expansion of economic activity, strong labor market conditions, and inflation near the committee's symmetric 2% objective over the medium term.
Okay, so not a rate cut, but he does say the economy is expanding, labor market's strong.
Exactly. It's more nuanced than just good or bad. The Fed's acknowledging some positives, but they're also worried about inflation, signaling more rate hikes are coming, just gradually.
So not as black and white as Josh makes it out to be. He keeps saying the media is cherry-picking info, just to create this negative spin.
Okay, let's investigate that. What were some of the headlines he mentioned? We can compare them to the actual FOMC statement.
Oh, I wrote a few down. There was one like, Fed raises rates, again, signaling concerns about inflation. And another, something like, economy slows as Fed hikes rates, raising fears of recession.
Yeah. I can see why he'd take issue with those. They do focus on the downsides. But, I mean, they're not completely inaccurate. The Fed did raise rates, and they are concerned about inflation.
So it's more about, what, emphasis?
Yeah.
Interpretation, maybe?
Yeah.
Than just straight up making stuff up.
Right. Same information, but presented in a way that, well, that evokes a different feeling.
Makes you think, right? Like, even with something seemingly factual, how much is spin?
Exactly. And this is where critical thinking becomes super important, especially with something as volatile as crypto.
You got to question everything.
Absolutely. Consider the source, their biases, the whole context. Don't just take someone's word for it, even if they sound really sure of themselves.
It's a good reminder for everyone listening, right? Do your own research, compare different sources.
And then form your own conclusions based on that. Now, speaking of things that might make you scratch your head, Josh also brings up this rumor.
Oh, yeah. The one about Bitcoin's 21 million coin cap, right?
The possibility of it changing.
This one caused a bit of a frenzy online. There was something about a BlackRock video, some disclaimer about their ETF shares. People were freaking out, thinking Bitcoin's hard cap was in danger.
Yeah, I can understand the concern. I mean, that hard cap is kind of fundamental to Bitcoin, right? It makes it different from regular currency that can be printed endlessly.
So is there any truth to it? Could they actually increase the supply of Bitcoin?
Technically, yeah, I guess the code could be altered. But here's the thing. It would require, overwhelming agreement from the entire Bitcoin world. Miners, exchanges, developers, everyone.
Oh, wow. So basically impossible.
Practically speaking, yeah. Think about it. It's hard enough to get people to agree on what pizza toppings to order, let alone rewriting the rules of Bitcoin.
Good point. So crisis averted then. No need to panic about endless Bitcoins flooding the market.
I wouldn't worry too much about that particular scenario, but it does show how important those underlying rules are, the social and economic factors too, not just the technical stuff.
Right. Whew. For a minute there, I thought we were going to have to throw out all our econ textbooks. Speaking of market reactions, though, Josh also mentions a kind of alarming trend, these record withdrawals from Bitcoin ETFs.
Oh, yeah, he mentioned that. A huge amount, something like $671.9 million being pulled out. And he blames it on, you guessed it, the media's take on the FOMC meeting.
So we're back to this whole media narrative thing influencing investors.
Exactly. Remember, ETFs are basically baskets of assets traded on the stock market, right? It lets people invest in Bitcoin without actually owning it directly.
So if they get spooked by headlines, even if they're not totally accurate, they might sell their ETF shares.
Which can push Bitcoin's price down. It's a chain reaction.
And Josh specifically called out Fidelity and Grayscale. Big players, right? Leading these withdrawals.
Yeah. So it's not just a few small-time investors getting nervous. It's the big institutions, too.
It really shows you how intertwined everything is. News, feelings, money, all swirling around.
And how important it is to understand those connections. All right, so we've talked doom and gloom, but Josh actually had some good news, too. He was pretty excited about Tether, the stablecoin.
Oh yeah, what were they up to?
They invested a big chunk of change, $775 million, into Rumble.
Rumble, the video platform.
Yeah, the one that's positioning itself as the free speech alternative to YouTube.
Interesting.
Josh is all about it. He sees it as a win for decentralized media.
Yeah.
A strike against censorship and all that.
It's like a David and Goliath situation.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, can Rumble actually compete with YouTube? That's the big question.
It's a good question. YouTube's got the users, the money, all that. But I guess it depends on how many people are looking for an alternative, right?
Exactly, and how well Rumble can actually deliver on their promises. But it's definitely an interesting development.
Okay, so we've got market volatility, media battles. Now what?
Now we're heading to the political arena. Josh dropped a bombshell. President-elect Trump has made his pick to lead his crypto council.
His crypto council. That's a thing.
Apparently. And the pick is, wait for it, college football star Bo Hines.
Whoa, what? Really?
Yeah, not who anyone expected. Everyone was thinking some big crypto expert, someone with, regulatory experience.
That's curveball for sure.
Makes you wonder what Trump's playing at, right? Maybe Bo Hines is supposed to, appeal to younger voters, the tech-savvy crowd.
Maybe. Or maybe he wants someone totally outside the system, shake things up.
Who knows? But it definitely shows that crypto is on the political radar now, big time.
It's not fringe anymore. It's front and center. Okay, so we've covered market jitters, media spin, power plays, and now political surprises. What else does Josh have in store for us?
He takes us to, get this, Dubai. Apparently, they've got big plans to become the global AI hub.
Dubai? Really, I thought it was all about skyscrapers and, fancy shopping.
Turns out they're serious about tech, too. Josh mentioned this AI Connect event hosted by the Dubai Future Foundation.
What is that, some kind of conference?
Yeah, bringing together startups and government people to talk about AI solutions.
So they're putting their money where their mouth is, huh?
Yep, they're not just talking about it. They're also opening up this, get ready for the name, the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence. MBZUAI for short.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Right. And they're offering full scholarships to attract all the top AI brains.
Wow. It's like they're building a whole AI city over there.
It's ambitious, that's for sure.
Makes you wonder if Dubai could be the next Silicon Valley, but for AI.
It's possible. They've definitely got the resources and the drive. And, if we tie this back to the Tether and Rumble thing, it's interesting to think about.
How it all might connect.
Yeah, could we see Dubai becoming a hub for this kind of decentralized, AI-powered media? It's a pretty wild thought.
It is. It's like a glimpse into some future media landscape.
Exactly. But for now, let's take a break and catch our breath. We've covered a lot of ground just in this first part of our deep dive with Josh.
Yeah, we've gone from market anxieties to media critiques to Dubai's AI dream.
It's all connected, right? This whole story about how technology, money, and, even politics are all intertwined.
Definitely makes you think. So stay tuned, everyone, for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll keep unraveling Josh's insights and see where this crypto roller coaster takes us next.
Welcome back, crypto explorers.
We're back in the thick of it, trying to make sense of this wild crypto world.
We've already talked about market craziness, media spin, even Dubai's AI dreams.
But there's more, right?
Yeah.
What else did Josh have to say?
Well, let's talk stablecoins. He seemed pretty optimistic about those, even with the market being down.
Really? Even with Bitcoin taking a hit?
Yeah, he pointed out this interesting thing. While the overall crypto market volume is shrinking, stablecoin volume's actually going up.
That is interesting. So people are pulling out of Bitcoin, but not necessarily ditching crypto altogether.
Exactly. It's like they're moving their assets into stablecoins, kind of riding out the storm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
For our listeners who might not be super familiar with stablecoins, can you give us a quick rundown? Why are they considered like a safe haven?
Sure. Unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum, which, their prices go up and down like a roller coaster, stablecoins are designed to stay, well, stable. They're usually pegged to a regular currency like the US dollar.
So they're backed by something real, not just like internet magic.
Right. They're backed by reserves of those currencies or other assets, so it's like having a digital dollar, basically.
So if I'm worried about Bitcoin crashing, I could swap it for a stablecoin and lock in my gains, at least in dollar terms.
Exactly. You stay in the crypto game but avoid the volatility. And Josh thinks this whole stablecoin trend could actually signal a future Bitcoin surge.
Oh, how so?
His theory is that once things calm down, people will convert those stablecoins back into Bitcoin, driving up demand and prices.
Interesting. Like a coiled spring ready to bounce back.
Yeah, kind of. Whether that actually happens, who knows? But it shows how stablecoins fit into this whole ecosystem. They're a buffer, but they could also be a catalyst.
Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of catalysts, let's go back to Dubai for a minute. Their whole AI push is pretty impressive.
It is. They're not messing around. They're going all in on multiple fronts. Innovation, talent, regulation, the whole shebang.
Yeah, you mentioned that AI Connect event. It's not just talk, they're actually doing stuff.
Exactly. Bringing startups together with government people, investors, all talking about real-world AI solutions. And then there's that university, the MBZ UAI, with those full scholarships. They're serious about attracting the best AI minds.
It's like they're building a whole AI ecosystem over there.
Yep. Nurturing talent, encouraging research, creating a friendly business environment. And it's not just about the tech itself. It's about using AI to solve real problems,
Like what kind of problems?
Everything. Transportation, logistics, healthcare, education. They're looking at how AI can make things better for people.
That's cool. It's not just about, like, robots taking over the world.
Right. It's about using technology to make a positive impact. Now, let's circle back to Josh's original point about the Fed meeting. He was pretty adamant that the media messed things up, created this unnecessary panic.
Yeah, blaming them for spooking investors with their doom and gloom take.
He might have a point. We see it all the time, right?
Yeah.
The same event can be spun in completely different ways depending on who's reporting it.
It's like, how much can you trust what you read or hear?
Exactly. It highlights why media literacy is so important. You got to think critically, question what you're being told, look for those hidden agendas.
Especially in crypto, where things move so fast,
Yeah.
one headline can send prices into a tailspin.
Right. You got to be careful not to get swept up in the hype, or the FUD, as they call it, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Good point. Speaking of challenging the status quo, let's go back to Josh's excitement about Tether and Rumble. He sees it as this big win for decentralization.
Yeah, that whole idea of shifting power away from big centralized authorities.
Giving more power to individuals, communities, right?
Exactly. It's a core principle of the blockchain philosophy. And it's starting to spread beyond just cryptocurrency. People are thinking about decentralizing everything.
Everything. Like what?
I mean, think about it. Media, finance, even how we govern ourselves. It's about challenging those traditional power structures, finding new ways to share information, make decisions, create and distribute value.
Whoa, that's a pretty big idea.
It is. And Tether's investment in Rumble is kind of like a step in that direction, supporting a platform that prioritizes free speech, open dialogue. It's a direct challenge to those platforms that are always censoring people, controlling the narrative.
So it's more than just, like, a business deal. It's a statement.
Right. It aligns with that whole crypto ethos. Empowerment, transparency, building a more fair and democratic digital world.
Makes you think, could this be the start of something bigger?
Maybe. It's definitely a sign that things are shifting. Now, let's hop back to the political arena. Remember that surprise appointment to Trump's crypto council?
Oh yeah, college football star guy, right? Still hard to believe.
It's a head-scratcher for sure. Sparked a lot of debate, people wondering what Trump's up to.
Some think it's a savvy move to appeal to younger voters. Others are questioning his qualifications.
Hard to say what the real reason is. But one thing's for sure, it puts crypto squarely in the political spotlight.
It's not something politicians can ignore anymore.
Exactly. They're realizing that crypto is here to stay, and they need to figure out how to deal with it. And it's not just about regulation, it's about understanding the potential of this technology.
Yeah, like how it could change all sorts of things. Finance, supply chains, healthcare, even voting.
Right. The possibilities are huge. And as governments wrap their heads around it all, we can probably expect more surprises like that appointment, more unconventional moves and policy shifts.
That's a wild ride, that's for sure.
It is. And it highlights how important it is to be adaptable, open to new ideas. This whole tech revolution is happening fast. Those who can keep up are going to be the ones who thrive.
So stay nimble, stay curious.
Exactly. Now let's zoom in on Dubai again. Their AI ambitions are pretty fascinating.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of key things that show they're serious about it.
Right, that AI Connect event and that university, the MBZU AI, they're showcasing AI solutions, attracting top talent with scholarships, basically creating this whole AI powerhouse.
It's like a master plan to become the AI capital of the world.
It could happen. They've got the resources, the ambition, the government backing, and, if we connect this back to the Tether and Rumble thing,
Here we go again, connecting the dots.
it's all connected. But seriously, could we see Dubai becoming this hub for decentralized AI-powered media? It's a mind-blowing thought.
It is, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
But hey, maybe that's the future we're headed towards. For now, let's take a pause and gear up for the final part of our journey with Josh.
We'll be back soon to wrap up our deep dive into this wild world of crypto, AI, and everything in between. All right, we're back for the final stretch of our crypto deep dive. It's been a wild ride with Josh, hasn't it?
It has lots of twists and turns. But through it all, there's one theme that keeps popping up.
Yeah, what's that?
That whole idea of critical thinking. Josh hammers it home over and over.
He's like a broken record sometimes, but he's got a point, right?
Totally. We're bombarded with information these days, especially in the crypto world. It's easy to get swept up in the hype, believe everything you read.
Yeah, you see some crazy headlines, some bold predictions.
Yeah.
It's tempting to just jump on the bandwagon.
Right, but that's how you get burned. Be more discerning, learn how to filter the signal from the noise.
So how do we do that? Any practical tips for becoming better at this whole critical thinking thing?
Well, first off, don't put all your eggs in one basket, information-wise. Don't rely on just one or two sources.
Like, don't just read one website or listen to one podcast.
Exactly. Diversify your sources. Read different articles, listen to different podcasts, follow people with different opinions.
Get a wider perspective, right? See all sides of the story.
Exactly. And don't just skim the headlines. Dig deeper, read the whole article, understand the arguments being made.
Look for the evidence, the data.
Right. And be aware of the source's motivations. Who are they? What's their background? Do they have a bias?
It's like follow the money, right?
Kind of. Understanding the incentives helps you understand the message. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask questions.
If something seems fishy or doesn't make sense,
Yeah. If the logic is weak, the evidence is thin, dig deeper, ask for clarification. Don't just blindly accept things.
it's all about being curious, being skeptical, thinking for yourself.
Exactly. And those skills are crucial not just for crypto, but for life in general, right?
Okay, so let's apply this to what Josh was talking about. Remember his whole thing about media manipulation?
Oh, yeah. Blaming them for the Bitcoin dip, saying they twisted the Fed's message.
We can't know for sure if he's right, but it does highlight the need to be critical of media narratives.
Right. Look for those biases, those hidden agendas, and remember, everyone's got an angle.
And what about that Tether and Rumble situation? Josh was pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, he sees it as this win for decentralization, striking back against big tech censorship.
But can they really compete with YouTube? That's a tough battle.
It is. YouTube's a behemoth. But it's interesting to see these alternative platforms emerging, challenging the status quo.
And then there's Dubai with their crazy AI ambitions.
They're going all in, investing in research, offering scholarships, building this whole AI ecosystem.
It's pretty wild to think about. Could they become the next Silicon Valley, but for AI?
Who knows? But it shows how fast things are moving, how the landscape is constantly shifting.
So what's the big takeaway here? What should people remember from all this?
Stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking questions. Don't just passively consume information, be an active participant.
Yeah, question everything, especially in the world of crypto where there's so much noise, so much hype.
The future is being built right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it. So stay informed, stay critical, and most importantly, stay open to new ideas.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey exploring all these ideas with Josh, and hopefully our listeners have learned a thing or two along the way.
I hope so too. And remember, critical thinking is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So keep flexing those critical thinking muscles, everyone, and join us again for another deep dive into the world of technology and innovation. Until next time.